them away. Since he left, there's nothing to show for it. I've been to Liberia. Liberia is it's not, I think Jos is far better than Liberia, the Monrovia capital. No, yeah, maybe it is better than Jos, but the point I'm making is this. These guys have been there and they've not transferred even their countries and they are sitting tight. Anyway, enough of this problem. What does this tell us? A need to think differently and raise transformational leadership. So that's why we're here. How do we think differently? So I will continue. Now, this is what Philippians 3:12 says. It says that what? Let's read. Okay, so we are people that, yes, the problem is there, but we want to reach out for a goal of upward. And as Christians, we are called to be transformational leaders. We are called to be transformational citizens of of wherever we find ourselves. Now, let's look at it as a group. What is the implication of these problems I've just finished sharing? What's the implication? So now just turn 3-3. Turn is good that the seats are movable. Turn 3-3 and then discuss. What do you think is the implication of what I've just shared? Okay, let's do it very snappy. Discuss it. What do you think is the implication? And then as you discuss it, what can you do differently? Are you really listening to yourself? The other question is, what can you do differently to change this? Okay. Okay. Are you looking at the second question? Okay, look at it quick. The second question is, what can you do differently to change this situation? Okay, because of time, let's talk. Okay. So thank you. Now let's get some feedbacks. Okay, you mentioned one point. You just mentioned one point. This group. What's the implication?
So we consider the fact that there is a barrier between the older and the younger generation, being that the people who are supposed to usher us or mentor us or help us into the places of leadership positions are holding on to it, are unable to, and refusing to relinquish or mentor the coming generation to get into that place. And we considered that this stems from, the root of it stems from a terrible culture, because especially in Africa today, in our political scene, we find that everyone who comes into leadership is looking for a way to first benefit themselves, is looking for a way to enrich themselves. And we see that if we first think about posterity, going back to Dr. Watson's session yesterday, people, process, product, and posterity, and we tend to think more selfless, we can then consider our society, our community, and think towards development. So the older generation will be more focused on grooming the younger generation. So a father leaves an inheritance for his children and his children's children. So I think that should be the kind of.
Okay, good. Thank you. Let me come to this side. Let me have this group. Okay.
It hinders growth. That's the implication. It hinders growth.
Okay. Hindered growth.
Okay, the implications of what is happening is that we have leaders that are weak in their mind and weak physically, and then the youth that are now having strength are not given opportunity. So what we will begin to do differently is to be intentional about building leadership skills as young people, that we don't necessarily need those political platform to command change. We can begin to change our mindset. Like he said, a good father will leave an inheritance for his children's children. If every one of us take that mindset, we can change the narrative.
Wow, that's good. Let's clap, let's clap, let's clap. Now let me listen to the last group. Let me hear.
Okay, so looking at the implications, somebody here pointed out that there is moral decadence in our society. She cited example of Yahoo, armed robbery, and all those things. So that's part of the implication. Another one we looked at was that, especially on the side of the youth, there's a kind of apathy towards leadership, politics, and all that. Imagine giving birth to in a society where for the past 20 years of your life, it is the same person that is in power. And even when it changes, there's no difference between that person and the previous person. We didn't really have time to talk about what we can do differently. Yes, but
Okay, so let's clap, let's clap, let's clap. Yeah, I'm so happy that you are looking at it. The implication is much. I was in Uganda, then I was talking with them. I think the lady is about 39 years. She said all her life is only one president she has known for 39 years. There's something with Cameroon. If you are 40 years, all your life is one person you've known. You don't understand other leadership. Okay, so this is very good and very important for us to start thinking. We're talking about transformational leadership. Let's start thinking outside the box. One of my frustration, I mentor a lot of young people. One of my frustration with the younger generation, your generation, is that you don't think outside the box. You think that you have to depend on people to give you what you need to do. And we, your parents, we have a problem. We are always thinking that you must do that we want you to do. For instance, if your father has been a civil servant, that's all he knows. And what he wants you to do, go and get that pensionable job. That's always the English. Transformational leaders. Let's read this. Oh, okay. Do you understand? Now you can see that for you to be a transformational leader is you inside. You need to shape yourself. You need to think differently. You need to have an understanding of what is your purpose? What is your purpose? Because that defines everything that you want to do. Because if you don't have that, it affects everything. And then you look at it, we say that not merely manage people or system, they shape values. And that's exactly why this group is. This group is here to shape values. We want you to leave this place with a value-driven mindset of this is what I want to be. This is what I want to do differently in my school. This is what I want to do differently in my home. This is what I want to do differently in the society. Because that is exactly what transformational leadership is all about. Proverbs 21:5 said, good planning and hard work lead to prosperity, but hasty shortcuts lead to poverty. Now, you have been talking about Yahoo boys. It is very, very sad. The Yahoo boys don't read this scripture. There's no Yahoo person that will reach 10 years doing Yahoo without being caught. There's none. Just tell them that is my own prophecy. It is not possible. And even if they get the money because it's a shortcut, there's no value. There's no value. The moment you see somebody who is picking shortcut, it affects everything. Transformational leadership is not about position or power, but about inner change that produces lasting impact in people and institutions. So, and that's what we're talking about. It's not about, it's not about, oh, I am the president of this club, or I am the leader of this. But it's about you influencing others in order to have them have something that will change them. And it starts from you. So I'm sure, I don't know the other topics you've handled, but the whole essence of being here is talking about you. It's you. Don't look outside. It's me. How can I be transformed for me to have that change that people will see you and say, this person has been with Jesus? Do you understand? Because that was the identity. That was the mark in which people saw in the disciples. They say, these men have been with Jesus. There's something that was transforming or has transformed in their life. Transformational leadership starts with identity. I overheard Walton talking about identity. That is the beginning. Your life starts with your identity. Who am I? Am I somebody that people know? Do I really know myself? There's so much identity crisis about the young people. So much identity crisis. We're thinking of politics. You're thinking of making money. You're thinking of this. You're thinking of that. Identity crisis. And suddenly you see a child that come from a very decent and wonderful family suddenly start doing some things that are not in conformity with where he is coming or she is coming from. Identity crisis. And your identity crisis come from influence. So what we're saying here is that you should be that influence, that positive influence, instead of you picking a negative influence that will make you to become confused. Your identity become confused. Most young people are not sure of who they are. You understand? Most young people are not sure of who they are. Now, the fact that you are here, you sacrifice yourself to come here, it shows you have an identity. You know why you have come. You've taken these 2 days or 3 days for you to add value to whatever you had. Identity crisis. When there's identity crisis, people are lost, they are confused, they are unsure, unclear, perplexed, bewildered, disoriented. Go and ask a typical Yahoo person. Most of these things are there. They are so insecure because they are thinking they might cut me. They are so insecure, and that's why they play a lavish life that has no direction. I went to, I've been hearing about this Yahoo thing and I didn't know much. I went to a hotel on Wednesday to pick something. I saw some young people, very young, the average of 22 years. They were lodging in that hotel, and you can see, they didn't tell me But I believe that that's a characteristic. They go to a very, very expensive hotels, stay there, and then do whatever. But anyway, enough of Yahoo. Let's continue. This is it. What can you say about this picture? Is it a lady? Is it a girl or a man? Who is that? Eh? Who is that? Is it a man? Is it a girl? Is it what? A boy girl. Confused. That's identity crisis. So, if you don't have know for your values, you will be like that. You're neither here nor there. You're neither cold nor warm. So, identity crisis is what we want to. What are some things that can help you have true identity? Okay, let's pop that. What are some things that can help you have true identity? Let's pop that. Okay, you remember I said there's a popcorn, right? Let's pop it. Just tell me some things. Relationship with God. Mentorship. Scriptural. Purpose discovery. Saying true to your values. What? Service, yes. So these are some few things that can help you have your true identity. You know, one of the most important things is for you to have true relationship with Christ. True. I don't mean going to church or your parents are Christians. No. You must have sincere, deep, true, focused, purposeful relationship with Jesus Christ. If you don't have that, you know that if you say you're a true Christian, there are things that you cannot do. You know, sometimes if I move around Jos and I see that, oh, there's this hotel or this, I say, I'm not around because I don't need to go to those places. I'm not saying some of the places, I'm not saying they're wrong, but my values cannot make me go there. You know, so having a true identity is very clear. Then the other things I want is for you to have a life clarity. Transformational leaders must have life clarity. Let's read this. Future. So your life clarity must be there. Do you have a life clarity? Do you have life clarity? As a student, is your life clear? Do you have clarity of where you're going? And this process starts with you being dependable. Dependable on God, dependable on your parents, dependable on what you think. Now, I'm going to give you some examples of different leaders. Now, we start with Nehemiah. Nehemiah was a transformational leader. What did he do? He rebuilt not just walls, but moral, discipline, and faith. That's Nehemiah. When he got that vision to go, he did not build only the wall. If you read the whole book of Nehemiah, you will see that there's a part for the priests. There's different parts in which he did. What was the leadership style he used? He was strategic. He was prayerful. He was community mobilizer. What was the impact? He restored national dignity and collective responsibility. You can read Nehemiah chapter 1 to chapter 6. The other person which I like so much is Moses. Transformation led slaves into a nation with identity, law, and purpose. When they were in Egypt, they did not have identity. They were slaves. They were just there doing the biddings of their masters. There was no identity. What was his leadership style? He was visionary. He was empowering. He was covenant-centered. What was the impact? He shifted mindset from slavery to nationhood. Today, Israel is one of the greatest nations in the world. People are afraid of them, and because Moses ventured, dared, and then moved to go and bring them out of that type of places. Now, let's look at our contemporary world. Nelson Mandela is one person that I also like. I remember when we were in the university, when they released him from prison, he was in South Africa, but they packed us from Abu Zaria, from Zaria to Kaduna for us to just go and do, we were shouting. Yes, it was so beautiful. You know, what did he do? Move a nation from apartheid to reconciliation. This is a transformational leader. After 5 years, they said, Nelson, continue. He said, no, I just came to stabilize the system. The younger people have more vision, they have more energy than me. Then he handed over to Thabo Mbeki. What was his leadership style? Moral courage, forgiveness, inclusive vision. What was the impact? Prevented civil war and redefined national identity. Read his books. Again, let me say it. You must be readers. Read. Go and read. I've read his books. Then another person that I like again is Mother Teresa. How many of you have heard that name, Mother Teresa? Okay, the younger people, you've not heard about her? Wonderful lady. Now, I give this in my book. I wrote a book. In my book, I said that Mother Teresa was just a nun. She was not a bishop. She was not a pope. But let me tell you, her name almost read any leadership book. You might see her name there. But the pope that she was under that time, you will not hear his name, Pope John Paul. Except I tell you that the pope was Pope John Paul. But Mother Teresa, you will always see her name. Why? Because she was a transformational leader who changed the story of poor people in India to people who were respected. What helped these transformational leaders? The first thing that helped them was they were dependable. They were dependable. From Moses to Nehemiah to Mother Teresa to Nelson Mandela, they were dependable. Now, Moses gave this charge. It was a different time in a different place with a different culture. 12 men were tasked with an assignment. Go to the enemy territory, spy out the land, notice weak spots, observe military competence, not security measures, bring back a detailed report. A transformational leader, Moses, selected 12 people from the 12 tribes and gave them that mandate. Hello, are we together? Okay. The beginning of creation shows that God's design for creating man was for relationship. So as a transformational leader, as you seek to do that, one thing that you must have is relationship with God and with people. You must build transformational other people who are transformational leaders like you. As such, man is wired to depend on other people by virtue of position, relationship, or responsibility. All human relationships are symbiotic by nature. Everything is done and achieved with the help of others. So as you move out of this place, as you go to look at how do you become a transformational leader, remember that you need people. Don't be an island. You need people. So let me show you some things that can help you to be dependable. The first thing, I have 4 things. You need to be self-disciplined. You need to be self-disciplined. If you look at Moses, if you look at Mother Teresa, if you look at Nehemiah, they were self-disciplined. You need to be self-denial. You need to deny that thing. Nehemiah was a cupbearer. Do you know what that means? He was like a chief of staff. But he had to face the task that God asked him to do. You need to be self-assured and self-confrontational. Okay? Now, let's start with the self-confrontation. What does that mean? It refers to the ability to honestly view and assess oneself, abilities, strengths, and weaknesses. An honest assessment of oneself can help one build confidence, thereby building capacity for growth, development, and expertise. This will in turn make one a more dependable asset. So as you clarify your identity, remember that the first thing is for you to confront yourself. Identity means confronting yourself. You know, as we are seated here, the only person that knows you is you. Do you understand? You're the only one that knows yourself. I don't know you. Look, no matter how twin you are with your brother or sister, there's no way they will know 10% of your mind. There's no way. You volunteer what you tell people. You understand? You volunteer what you tell people. So self-confront yourself. Are there things in my life that I need to change? Now, there are people that had that one. One was Gideon. When they approached Gideon, that Gideon, do this, then Gideon said, Gideon was able to honestly respond that not only was his clan the weakest in his tribe of Manasseh, but he was the least in his father's house. He first of all confronted himself. You want to give me this responsibility? No. Me, Gideon, I am the least. I've come from one of the least families. But because God had an assignment, he told Gideon that, yes, thank you for your self-assessment. Look at Moses. The same thing, Moses, I can't talk. Self-confrontation. When you look at the same thing with David, most of these leaders, that is what they start with. Then David says, this self-assessment by David was neither prideful nor preconceived, for it was centered on two principles. When David was confronted, when David was to face Goliath, he knew himself. He knew the stories behind what he has done. And he confronted himself and said that, I can do it. You know, his trust and reliance on God, and then prior experience with the lion and the bear. Okay? The second thing, I know you gave me 1 hour. That's why I'm trying to move. This one is self-discipline. We are looking at transformational leadership, right? So what's the first one? What's the first element? And what does self-confrontation means? Assess yourself properly. Anything that comes to you, assess yourself. You know, some of you are so good, but sometimes you don't dare it. You don't want to take that giant step. You know, I mentor people, talk to people about the issue of setting up to become self-reliance. And I tell them that the first thing to do is for you to assess yourself and tell yourself that for me to start a business, I need 10 years to grow a business. For you to start an organization, don't think your organization will be strong in 5 years. Tell yourself 10 years and above, because during that 10 years, you will go through all sorts of learning processes. You will learn to fail, you will learn to succeed, you will learn betrayal, you will learn, you know, a lot of things will come. And when you stand after 10 years and you're focused, come back and ask me, you'll be successful. So the same thing, as you are seated here, you have friends. Don't look down on anybody. 10 years is a good year that will change somebody. This is what John Maxwell says. He said, motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you growing. Do you understand? So, as a transformational leader, motivation can keep you going, but discipline will help you grow. Hebrews 12:11 says, no discipline seems pleasant at a time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained it. The harvest born from discipline is always worth the difficulty of the process. So, as a young person, discipline. You start with self-confrontation. Then discipline yourself. There are things that you need to. You're a student. Do you want to make first class? Discipline yourself. Do you want to, whatever you want to become, discipline yourself. And that is what it means to be a transformational leader. Self-denial. Self-denial refers to the suppression of one's own interests and needs in pursuit of a greater goal. You know, now look at this statement. It's not contradicting what I'm saying, but it is saying that there are some things that it is only you, but when you bring others for the greater goal, you see that you succeed together. Dependability can, in a way, be viewed as a repression of one's own goals and ideas in pursuit of a greater goal. So sometimes there are things that you need to labor with others in order for you to move up to get what you want. Matthew 16:24 says, Then Jesus said to his disciples, if anyone desires to come after me, let him do what? Deny himself. And denying yourself means denying your pleasure. Denying things that it is you that, in order for you to get what you need. A transformational leader must be one who is willing to let his own interests take a back seat in favor of the ideas, goals, interests of the greater vision of the society. Nelson Mandela, what did he do? He denied himself of the power. Do you know what it means to be a president of South Africa? He denied himself for the greater goal of the future. The other leaders that we saw them as staying for too long, they have refused to deny themselves, okay? Okay, so now let's look at the last part, which is self-assurance. Self-assurance is born out of the process of self-confrontation, self-discipline, and self-denial. It is the point a person gets to when he has a firm grasp of who he is, where he is, and what he brings to the table. Dependable people create a work environment that runs smoothly and enhances effectiveness. Okay, so what have you learned so far? I've told you 4 things. Who remember them? Let's talk about them. The first one is what? Self, then self-assurance. So remember this self-assurance means assured yourself that what I am doing is right and I need to continue doing it so that it can help for the greater good. Okay? Now, these are the elements. Self-confrontation. Who am I? Am I able to do this? Can I go up? Can I do it? Self-discipline. Discipline yourself within the focus. Look at Nehemiah. Nehemiah disciplined himself within the structure of what God called him to go and do. He denied himself of that prestigious, you can imagine the type of food that Nehemiah was eating in the palace. Denied himself to go and face a greater vision that can help change his people. And then self-assurance is what keeps us going. Now we're going to have a reflection. Now, look at these questions. Look at these questions. Let's look at it. I want all of you, we will answer this question. Can you be one who is rewarded not because of your skills or connections, but because others have found you a person of dependable character? Can you be one? Can you be one? Can your classmates vouch for you that if it is you, everything is settled? Can your parents vouch for you that if it is you, go and sleep? How much of yourself do you know? Do you have the courage to confront yourself, to build up the confidence that will change your family and the society? Can you face your fears during daunting challenges? These are reflections that I want us to reflect. Self-assurance comes in part from one's knowledge of his subject matter as well as his environment and the people he interacts with daily. What is your confidence level on a scale of 1 to 10? So what steps can you take? So I want you to take the next 5 minutes, reflect on these questions, and then write something, action points, write action points about yourself. Because we are looking at transformational leaders. So transformational leaders are people who write feedback. So now the chance is yours. So answer those questions for yourself, and let's see. I should see everybody writing. It's a difficult reflection, and it will help you to grow from here. Okay? So you have 5 minutes, reflect on it, then the scale of 1 to 10, do that. Okay? Is it too small? Oh, so what do we do? Okay, okay. Behind you cannot see it. Sometimes we can move forward. I think you have fun. Snap. so that I can help you to do it. someone who is not confident to someone who is confident. You remember there's four selves. One of it is the fact that they move from less confidence to very confident. Even the Nehemiah, you remember what he did when he was trying to confront his boss. He had to pray and fast because he was afraid. Then he got it. Look at Moses. It was not easy for Moses, but he did that. Mandela had to suppress his aggressiveness for him to be a true good leader. You read the story of Mother Teresa, the same thing happened. She thought she was enjoying until she had to confront her fears. So we want you to come up with action steps of what you want to see yourself doing. You can, I don't know the final plan of this camp, whether there are some action steps you need to take, but if it's there, start it now so that when you come to write your final evaluation, you'll have something to do. Now, the self-assurance. How many people get more than 5? Who has more than 5? In that number 3. Okay? Who got more? Okay, let's start. Okay, who got at least 10? What of 7? What of 5? Less than 5. Let's see, less than 5. Okay. So, I mean, this is part of the self-confrontation because sometimes we throw figures at what we think we are. I mean, we know we are not. So, now, if you have less than 5, what steps can you take in order in the next 1 year, raise yourself from that less than 5 to at least target 8. Maybe in your class, you don't, oh, me, I don't talk. If there are issues, you have ideas, but you don't want to talk. You know, how can you now be so confident? Remember the 4 selves, when you go back, I think I will go and produce this into a material and send it to Walton so that you have all their emails or WhatsApp, right? Okay, I'll prepare it as a document and I'll send it so that you can have it to review. Okay? But by the way, all those things are in my book. The whole of that place is a complete chapter in the book I wrote. The dependability. Okay? Now, I have a story I want us to read together. Now, I want somebody who has a good way of reading, who can read very well. I want the person to read it slowly, so that we can understand this story. Okay, good. I'll read it for us, then we'll discuss. Yes, go. Sorry, okay, it's not, it's the screen.
When I was a young man, I wanted to change the world. I found it was difficult to change the world. So I tried to change my nation. When I found I couldn't change the nation, I began to focus on my town.
Thank you.
I couldn't change the town. And as an older man, I tried to change my family. Now, as an old man, I realized the only thing I can change is myself. And suddenly I realized that if long ago I had changed myself, I could have made an impact on my family. My family and I could have made an impact on our town. Their impact could have changed the nation, and I could indeed have changed the world.
Wow. Okay. Read this. Clap. Let's clap. Yes. Thank you very much. Now let's look at that story. Now let's observe. Let's make observation on that story. What did you observe? What do you observe about this story? What's this story saying? Okay, no, okay, it's part of the popcorn. Can we have the mic? One of you should just look at the story and say something about it. What do you see? Yes. Okay, now I think we can listen to them. Okay, no need. Okay. Okay, good. So, okay, what other observation is? Mm. Mm. Excellent. Uh-huh. Yes. That is different. Where you went about yes, then you do. Wow. Yes. Wow. Excellent. Yeah, you then you. Mm. Mm. Wow, let's clap for her. She applied the lesson. Yeah, but clap for everybody first. Clap for everybody. Thank you very much. Okay.
Okay, so I see a man who is actually evaluating himself, looking at what he should have done when he was young, and he was thinking of regret and feeling that he couldn't do the things he wanted to act and put the time.
Mm.
He only realized that time and chance are very, very
Excellent. Let's clap for him. You and you.
Okay, I see a man who is self-disciplined and I see his consistency. Yeah, very consistent. Not giving up, even as much as he's not seeing the result at the now, but his consistency.
Good. Let's clap for him. Yes. Okay.
So that was why he struggled to meet up with his expectation or his dream because he doesn't know who he is. So I see someone that struggles with self-identity.
Let's clap. Let's clap. Yes. Yes. Welcome. Oh, okay. Okay. Welcome. Welcome. Okay.
Who had the potential of actually changing the world since he was consistent enough to reach this conclusion, but he didn't have people to point him to this at an early stage of his life. Because if he had people that would tell him this, he would have been able to sit upon their own shoulders and attain this at these heights. Because like now, okay, certain things of this nature, we are fortunate here to have been able to know them by our age by now. And we are wishing we knew them long before now and stuff of this nature. But he didn't have someone around to hold his hand and tell him, okay, yes, you have the passion, you have everything. Because it is clear, he still came to the final solution, but time was not on his side.
Wow. Let's clap. Yes.
Oftentimes we forget we neglect the foundational primary catalyst for transformation, which is myself. So he forgot himself and he dwelt on the outside. Later came to the realization that I was the fundamental catalyst. If I had started from here, it should have gone outside and expanded to the world eventually.
Wow. Let's clap. Now, let's apply it this way. How about your politicians? What are you seeing? What are you seeing in your politicians? Eh? You say? Themselves. They don't confront themselves, but you still vote for them. I heard that. Okay, that's another mindset we need to change. Let's not say if we don't vote, they will win, still win. No. You see, no matter how difficult a system is, if we, the people, confront ourselves and tell ourselves we're going to face this giant, we can change it. There's nothing that cannot change. Nehemiah, remember the story of Nehemiah again. I also tell you about David. The Goliath, was it true? Was that challenge daunting? But what did David do? He confronted himself and he faced it. So let us know that change begins with us. If we want to change Nigeria, we have to first of all tell ourselves that we can do it, I can do it. Then you start mobilizing others. And then we see if all of us in this place have the same mindset that we're not going to be corrupt, I tell you in the next 10 years, the influence of this few of you here in the next 10 years will change Nigeria. Do you understand? So let's start with ourselves, because most times we blame the leaders. But when we give you small leadership, or we ask you to do something, you want to cut corners, okay? Good. At this point, let's have questions. I have finished. Let's have questions. Questions, I still have about 10 minutes. Questions? Yes.
Two books. There are many others you can, maybe two for a start, 2 books you can recommend for us that will give us a proper foundational framework to understand the concept of true leadership.
Okay, good. He's talking about books. Anyway, you have taken up books. There are so many books that are good that you can read and they can change you. But the number one book is the Bible. Read the Bible with a mind that I want to change myself and change the world. Then look for other good authors who have written very good books, good summaries that can help you. Now, I'm not advertising my own, but let me tell you the summary of my book. Yeah, I wrote a book about the leadership of the follower. That's the title of the book. The leadership of the follower. Why did I write that book? Because I discovered that the greatest problem we have is the followers. The followers don't understand their stand, just like what we're saying. If you know who you are as a follower, the leader depends on you. He sleeps, wake up thinking of how you will do the job. And the day you fail, he fails. Do you understand? The day you fail, he fails. So, if somebody is depending on you not to fail, who is the leader? Do you understand the question? Somebody is dependent on you not to fail, not for him to fail. Then who is the leader? Is it that the question is complex? Do you understand my question? Okay, I'm depending on you to do this presentation. And you are not there, you fail me. So who is the leader? You that I'm depending on. So the follower is the leader. The leader up there is just a privilege that he has to help control and manage you, your strength, your weaknesses, and so on, to help you to become who you are. So that is the meaning. The leadership of the follower is that you as a follower, at every point, you must have a vision. If I give you a job, I'm giving you a vision. So you must develop your own personal vision to solve that problem I'm giving you the job for. Do you understand? If you as a student, you choose not to work, can your lecturer succeed? Can your lecturer succeed? So you are the leader. Your lecturer is the guide. If all of you fail, in a good institution, the lecturer should be fired because he has not done his job. So you depend on, you are the most precious person. And that is why that story of that man, he said, if I had worked on myself, he didn't say that if I had bring my leaders to my village, will have changed it. And that's a mistake we are making in Nigeria, in Africa. Africa is where it is because we are so gullible and dependable. We depend on people for different things. And as a result, it affects every way we think. So we must change our narratives, change the narrative, change the thinking, so that we can become the leaders that God is looking for. So there are books that you can read. There are mentors that you need to develop. In my organization, we have what we call Leadership and Development Studies. And in it, we train for 11 weeks, and we give you a certificate. And during those 11 weeks, you learn a lot about leadership. We start with identity, personal values, spirituality, teamwork, okay, we have teamwork, we have time management, we have different things, 11 topics. But in any case, there are books, there are people you can talk to, and there are ways in which you can enrich yourself. Last question? Yes.
Since you talked about self-confrontation, self-discipline, self-denial, and self-assurance, is it possible for someone to define all these four selves, but in a negative way?
Very well.
Very well.
Yes, because you see, we're saying self-discipline. If you're self-indiscipline, self-confrontation, if you don't learn to confront yourself, you see, for anything that is positive, people can use it for anything. But what we are saying here is that you should look at yourself in a very positive way. And that's why we're bringing all of this this.
So, sir, in a situation whereby we have politicians who come with very good manifestos, and based on what they give us, we get to see, based on assessment of most of them, we get to see that they are dependable, and they are learned, and they are people who might have possibly have all the four selves. But when voted into power, you get to see a different person, and you get to wonder if really they had defined these four selves, or maybe they just didn't get it the right way. So how can I, as an individual, help my society or community rather to discern or be able to differentiate between the false ones and the good ones?
Yeah, you know, when we're talking about it of politics, we have a disease, most especially from Plateau State. Do you want to know the disease? Tribalism. Because we no longer see people for their competence. We see people based on their affiliation to us. You'll see a highly incompetent person bringing a very laudable manifesto. You know he cannot do it. But because he's my religion, he's my tribe, you would rather give him. Do you understand? All this self, that's why we're saying you. The self is not for everybody. Look, if you begin to read manifestos of politicians, we shouldn't be suffering in Nigeria. They go to the best brands to write them whatever they will get. And they will come to you. You know, it's so sad that it is we, the younger people, that are championing these guys. We know these guys cannot do anything, but would rather give them because we feel, unfortunately, they call you guys data boys. Some of you are already data boys of politicians. They'll come flash, yo, they flash me 5K. And they'll come to your parents. You're supposed to stop them. Don't collect this thing. Direct your parents to go and do the right thing and vote for the right person. But you will not do it. And we know that these people are not competent. And that is why we are moving around the same cycle in this country. Unfortunately, money has become the main voters card. That's it. We don't vote based on competence, we vote based on money. Let me use this example. Do you think Tinubu is the best guy that we should give him president of Nigeria? But because they have already put themselves there, they have clowned everything. They've refused to make our system and institutions to work. Because if our system and institutions are working, then we can challenge some of these things. But unfortunately, if you don't have these selves, if you get yourself working in INEC, you'll become a tool that they will use in order to get what they want. Do you understand? So we are saying here, as you leave this place, is that please confront yourself and know that righteousness exalts a nation and a sin is a reproach to any man. That is it. When you are righteous and you confront yourself, you can be the lone voice. Stand there. One day they will look for you because they know there's a voice. Last week, somebody was being celebrated on social media. Let me tell you, Jackson was sentenced to death. There's this young man from Adamawa State. A Fulani woman came to his farm, attacked him. In the process, he overpowered the Fulani man, killed the man. They took him to court, to lower court, appeal court, to Supreme Court. And Supreme Court sentenced him to death by hanging. Out of the 5 judges, one woman decided to say no. This guy was right to have done what he did. But guess the names of the people, the other 4. I read those names. Only one is a Muslim name. And the most sad part for me is a name that is from Adamawa State. As a Supreme Court judge, sat down to sentence that guy to death. But thank God, you see, when you are good, you're good. God looked at the cry of the family of that young man. And Nigerians cried, they said, no, that's an injustice to the highest order. And they pardoned him. And people are celebrating that one woman that made that decision. So be that lone voice. People might not see it now. It might be after you're dead, then people will say that there was a voice. So stand. When you confront yourself, when you deny yourself, when you discipline yourself, you will be celebrated. Thank you very much and God bless.
Wow, please, we can do better. Thank you. So amazing. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. I hope you can see where the whole thing is tilting towards. You know, when you hear leadership, the first thing that comes to your mind is how to change the world. We always think leadership from the outward point of view. But if you've seen the trajectory in this camp meeting, everything still comes back to you. To you. Most times we don't pay attention exactly. And I believe that the emphasis God wants us to take home is that go back, self-assessment. Before this year rounds up, self-assessment, introspection, and begin to bring out the treasures that are on your inside. Develop it, begin to harness it, because that is very important for the transformational journey that this nation needs. In the next 10 years, all of us here will be above 30. If somebody is 20 and the next 10 years, you're 30. In the next 10 years, I'll be in my 40s. We will now begin to get to the echelon of decision making in many places, in industry, in government, in politics. If you commit the next 10 years to investing intentionally in yourself, from identity to potential to everything, 10 years, 10 to 15 years, imagine what will happen in this nation. So let's be patient and keep working internally, right? Keep working internally. As capacity increases internally, it will begin to flow outwardly. Family, village, town, nation, that's how to keep expanding until we realize that we are influencing at global levels. Okay? So thank you so much, sir. You have you have taken us further in confirming the emphasis of this particular camp meeting, and we want to say thank you. Thank you. Can we appreciate Uncle Leps again? All right, so we'll take a very short break now. What's the time, please? We'll take a very short break now for the next 30 minutes. We're back by 11:30, and then we'll resume the next session. Alice, are there any announcements? Okay. All right. So by 11:30, we are back, and then we start with the next session. Thank you very much.